Hey guys, welcome back. This is the first lesson of our new unit. We're going to talk about direct and inverse variation. These are some very basic notes. Hopefully it'll make a little bit of sense to you, but we will do some more practice during class. So the first thing I want you to look at is that this first side is going to be direct variation. And what that means is when one variable increases, the other variable also increases. So basically, as one goes up, the other one goes up. If one goes down, the other one goes down. So they're moving in the same direction all the time. Like if one is decreasing, like we're going to talk about in a little bit, then the other one will definitely be decreasing if it is direct variation. So our equation for this is going to be y equals kx. It is going to be multiplication between those two, and k is a new variable that we haven't really seen yet, and k is going to be our constant. What a constant means is that it's going to change with each problem, and it's going to be something that is specific to that problem and that set of whatever's going on. Okay, so if that one's direct, obviously the other one, and the other thing we're talking about is inverse variation. Oh, must have hit a button while I was writing. So inverse variation. So if direct means they're going in the same direction, inverse means they're going in opposite directions. So when one variable increases, the other variable decreases. The equation here, the opposite of multiplication, is division. So it's y equals k divided by x. And k is still my constant. The other thing I do want you to know about inverse is that sometimes it will be called indirect. That's like the other name for it that you'll see sometimes. So sometimes it'll be called indirect variation, but that is the same thing as inverse variation. These two formulas right here that we just wrote on these two equations are actually going to be important. I'm going to write them on each slide so that you remember which one goes with which. And hopefully it'll just be something that you remember every time that we look at this. So the next thing we're going to look at is actually where this applies, and it'll make a little bit more sense to you. So remember that direct is y equals kx, and inverse is y equals k over x. All right, so we're going to read these scenarios. We're going to determine which one it is, direct or inverse. So the speed of a train and the time it takes to travel from Raleigh to Atlanta. So we're going to think of this as increasing. So if the speed of the train increases, what happens with the time? So the faster you go to get there, the shorter amount of time it's going to take. So then that is inverse variation. And the next one, number 2, time spent studying and a grade on the test. Well, if we increase the time we spend studying, you should also, in theory, increase your grade on the test. Therefore, that is direct variation. As one goes up, so does the other one. They go in the same direction. All right. Pressure applied to a spring and length of a spring. This is a little weird because you may not have actually used a spring like this, but like think about the spring like if you take apart your pen and you have that spring, and the pressure it's talking about is if you like push on both of the ends. So what happens when you push on both the ends of the spring? So we're going to increase the pressure, and what happens to that spring as we push it together? The length goes down, therefore it is inverse variation. Number of painters painting a room and the time it takes to finish painting the room. So the more people you have, increase, the less time it takes to actually paint it because you got more people painting all the surfaces. Yet again, going to be inverse because they're going in opposite directions. And last but not least, the amount of snow accumulation and the quickness that WCPSS calls off school. You know, and as the snow goes up, the quicker they call off school. That is going to be direct variation. All right, hopefully this is making a little bit more sense. We are going to move on to word problems where you're going to see us actually solving for that K. Okay, here we're going to write the equations and we are going to actually solve for the variables that it is giving us. So I'm going to write this up here again. So direct is y equals kx, And inverse is y equals k over x. So those formulas, it'll hopefully be pretty ingrained in your brain by the time we're done with this. Y varies directly with x. So it tells us right here which formula we're going to use. Y equals kx. Bam. First part knocked out. Then it tells us that y is 27. So let's plug that in. And that x is 3. So we're solving for k. So what we want to do here is solve for k. And then k is going to be the same value within the purview of this problem. So to get rid of that 3 times k, we divide by it on each side. So therefore, k equals 9. So then for this problem number 6, k is 9. So what we want to do is we want to rewrite. So we're going to say, or read the question. It says, what does y equal? So we're trying to find y when x is 10. So we don't know y, so we leave it. But we know that k is 9. We just solved for that. And then we know that x is 10 because it tells us that in our problem. So then find your y value. 9 times 10, 90. Bam, made it happen. All right, let's look at number 7 and see if we can find any more of those keywords. Y varies inversely with x. So inversely means we're going to use y equals k over x. And then it tells us y is 18. We don't know k. And x is 2. So what we want to do is we want to solve for k so that we can figure out what is k in problem number 7. So we want to times it by 2 on both sides. So k equals 36. Well, now that we know k, we can answer the last problem. What does y equal when x is 12? Okay, let's fill it in. So we don't know y, but we know that k is 36, and we know that x is 12, because we're using the same formula right here. So 36 divided by 12 means y is 3. Hopefully this is not terribly difficult for you. And we're going to move on to some word problems, and we will do some more practice in class. Okay, let's look at and read these word problems. So hopefully you don't get panicked by them, because I know when y'all see word problems, you tend to go, I hate word problems. We can do it. I got it. We got this. Together, we will conquer all of the things. Okay, so the cost of an item in euros varies directly. Oh, there's one of those keywords we like. So remember, direct is y equals kx, and inverse is y equals k over x. Okay, so it varies directly. So we're going to use y equals kx as the cost of items in dollars. So we have euros and we have dollars. So because there's like a conversion rate when you go to other countries that use other currencies of money. So we're going to say that euros is going to be y. And the only reason I'm picking it for y is because it's the one that comes first. And then the dollars is x. So you got to pick one as y and pick one as x. It doesn't matter which one you pick. It'll end up working out the same no matter what. Just make sure you're consistent in which one you pick and which one you plug in for which. So an item that is 385 in euros, so that's going to be your y, is $5 in US currency. So we need to find that k. So we're going to say 385 equals k times 5. So to get k by itself, first step, divide by 5. Pick up your handy dandy calculator. Handy dandy notebook. Okay, whatever. Too much blues clues. Don't judge me. So that's going to be 0.77 for k. So now we know the k for this problem. So now we need to use it to solve for the next piece, because it asks us, what does an item cost in dollars when the euros are 10? So it's 10 euros, so that's our y value. And we know that k is 0.77, but it's asking us how many dollars that is. So we don't know our x. So we need to solve for it. Okay, so let's solve for it. Divide by 0.77. Yet again, use your calculator. 10 divided by 0.77. And it gives us kind of a long number, but that's okay. Round it to the nearest 2 decimal places, because remember, money has 2 decimal places. 12.99. So 10 euros is $12.99. Perfect. Awesome. All right, I do want you to pause this video and try the next one. So once you pause it, when you hit play again, it will just have the work on there. And then if you have questions about it, we can definitely talk about it during class. Hopefully this is making sense to you and you'll do well on this next problem. Okay, hopefully you stopped and worked this out, and this is the answer I got, 5.19 hours. I know it was not a pretty decimal, but that's okay. Just rounded to 2 decimal places, and you will be fine. Hopefully this is making sense to you. We will do a little bit more practice in class with it, especially with the word problems, because I know that's where most people struggle the most. See you later, guys.